to it. As of today, Slick is gone. He is gone. He'll be back on Sunday to pick up his stuff, but he's gone. And he's never coming back, obviously. And, I don't think it needs to be said, but what he did is abhorrent. Like, how he treated all those girls was... As a girl myself, obviously, being through shit like that, it was just really hard to see. Sorry, I'm having a hard time talking about this. So to preface all this, before I get into, like, talking about what I experienced...
Do they live in the same house?
And, what I now understand... Obviously, unconsensual touch,
because like, think about that, dude. You fucking, you realize, like, as a female content creator,
okay,
there's literally a dude who's creepy as fuck living under the same roof. Like,
they think that I think that. I just want to make that very, very, very fucking clear. And it's terrible that when these things happen, people feel like they can't say anything about it. No one should feel like they have to be quiet about sexual misconduct against them. So, and I know it's in sub mode. I really wanted people to be able to ask questions and say their opinion, but for today, I think there's just too many people that
they were best friends,
want
really?
to steer things off track that I had to put it in sub mode, but you guys don't have to spam emotes. You know, if you have questions or things you want to say, feel free to say it. I'm not trying to silence anyone's opinion or anything like that.
What?
So,
how do you stay with your boyfriend if you know he covered up a woman's sexual assault? What the fuck are you talking about?
I mean, obviously, I'm sure everyone here knows, but what? For people who maybe don't, yes, Slick was my roommate, and I've been living with him for about 10 months now. And I honestly considered him one of my good friends.
27-month subscriber. Are you alright?
And, when the original situation happened, it was before I moved in, right? But I did hear about it when it first came out, and when I first heard about it, my initial thought was, like, that shit is horrible, like, I can't associate with that, but what changed my mind was, like, the stuff that was said back then. The original conversation. Yeah, sorry, I'm having a hard time talking about this. This is a lot
Mizkif
less
and Maya are no longer together
than I hoped that it would be. But for the duration of my friendship with him, there were a lot of times that he would talk to me and say that his greatest fear was being canceled. And I would always say to him, like, you fucked up back then. You shouldn't have done that, but, you know, you say, like, she said it was okay. And we both know that you're a respectful person who wouldn't say things like that to girls. And he'd always say to me, yeah, you're right. I wouldn't do that. So I just feel completely lied to, and like the person that I knew never existed after seeing those screenshots. Especially considering that I myself am obviously a girl and would talk to him about things that have happened to me, and he would let me say stuff like that to him. Meanwhile, be sending things like that to other girls. Like, I just don't know if I've ever felt so betrayed in my life by a friend.
I think it's weird that people like think that she is culpable here. Like people don't have the capacity to comprehend that. Like they might not have fucking known at all. Like people involved, like people that knew him, that considered him friends. Everyone always goes on to be like, oh, they're every single person.
Screenshots come out. It just felt like the person that I thought that I lived with never existed.
The screenshots were like him being creepy as fuck to other girls, like just like writing weird shit to them.
That he did that
asking
shit
them for
to
fucking nudes,
Adriana, and that those logs existed in the first place. But what makes it so much worse to me is that he got what, in my opinion, was an undeserved second chance, and he just continued acting the same way. Even just like a week ago during his subathon, he just didn't.
Talking about Slick.
Care and didn't try. He didn't even deserve that chance.
Emiru is a part of OTK, lives in the same house alongside Mizkif and Slick.
He just kept doing what he was doing.
You honestly believe that Slick never confided any information to whoever regarded the sexual assault, so she isn't guilty, but give me a break if you think she's completely blindsided? I don't know. I don't know their dynamics. I didn't even know she lived there, man. Why are you fucking asking me about this shit?
It just sucks. Like,
you guys, a lot of people don't understand. I can only judge by exactly what I'm seeing on screen in the same exact capacity that you are.
Shit happen to other people, especially coming from someone that I was in close proximity with. Like, I mean, you guys know that I moved here to get away from a predator, and I ended up living with one, unbeknownst to me, for 10 months.
Also, a lot of people forget that like streamers literally, even when they're living under the same fucking roof, unironically are just streaming the entire goddamn time. I mean, I don't know what their hours look like.
Looking back now, there's a lot of stuff that...
And I can't comprehend a world in which like
sense.
You wouldn't know anything whatsoever. Like, it might be that you think, oh, well, they're just kind of weird, or, oh, they got a second chance, or some shit like that. But ultimately, like, she's relatively new in Austin, too.
It just sucks. Like, I don't know what else to say, but, I mean, I'm glad that he's gone, and I'm glad that, you know, Adriana got to talk about this. I'm glad those other girls got to talk about this. I'm glad that we know the full story now. But yeah, it just hurts. Like, I hope it doesn't seem like I'm trying to make this thing about me, because I'm not. I'm just trying to speak to my chat and explain.
I think a lot of people forget the Fedmeister shit.
I'm sure a lot of you were wondering.
Like, a lot of people forget the Fedmeister shit, which was, like, unironically a similar parallel, right? And the way that it was dealt with when it came out. Okay? Where so many people felt uncomfortable, and it was like identical, like the sleeping stuff. But for the longest fucking time, when that happened under the OTV roof, not OTK, OTV's roof, like, people just didn't want to. People who were literally victims themselves were like uncomfortable, but also were thinking internally like, well, this can't be it. Like, this can't be happening. People just think, you know, all of these interpersonal issues that range everywhere from like creeping, grooming, predation, straight up sexual assault, literally fucking are so clear cut, black and white, and not like insanely traumatic, abusive situations where the victims themselves have complicated feelings on it, let alone bystanders. You know what I mean? Oftentimes, these things are so powerful. These emotions are so powerful. The trauma causes you to literally fucking push it down and not even think about it.
That off my chest, but it's not even. It's kind of just something that I mean, I pretty much realized that the first day that this all started. But as more and more stuff came out, it was just like, I do want to say though. Like,
think about it this way: even victims sometimes have a hard time coming out in circumstances like this out of social pressures.
you guys know that. Simply, Russell, Miz, they've never done anything that ever made me feel uncomfortable or like they didn't respect my boundaries or anything like that, because a lot of people have been asking that, so I just wanted to say that.
Pedron was way worse than manipulating his own friends 24/7. Yeah, no, I know, but like there are parallels to be drawn.
And
I think what Mizkif should have done was immediately, regardless of what Adriana said at the time or did at the time,
that have been
was just fucking cut ties.
Expecting me or pressuring me.
Just straight up.
Leave.
It would have also avoided further predation as well. I'm saying predation a lot because Twitch, that Bloomberg article.
As of right now, I'm not leaving. It's not a coincidence that when I was dealing with my own shit that they were there for me and propped me up, and I know firsthand more than anyone that they take my well-being very seriously.
Only people who don't have touch grass think it's easy to ditch a close friend like that if it's nothing.
Not just me, but all of the girls around here and in this sphere and that work for them. As an org, they've always been very supportive of me, and the way that they've been handling this, I know you guys don't know everything that's happening, and there's a lot of speculation, but the way that they've been handling this is super reassuring to me, and it makes me feel very safe. They prioritize my well-being, and that's why I'm here.
I think people do legitimately think that like a lot of people in front of a camera are just like animals, you know what I mean? Or not even zoo animals, but like straight up not real no matter what happens. This is a person who herself is like escaped and now I think someone in the chat said institutionalized stalker. I don't know anything about Emiru, and even I knew that she had a fucking stalker. Like a really aggressive one. As most female Twitch streamers have. A sea of hopefully soon to be institutionalized stalkers. Oh
my god.
And she's also lived in that house not for that long.
Like I said when I started the stream, it's kind of just all coming out now because I've just been holding it in. Yeah.
Not even a streamer? Yeah, yeah, not even a streamer. I mean, normie, like, regular women have that shit too, for sure. So then think about that. Then a person that you're so close to, a person that you think you're, like, close friends with, all of a sudden comes out is, like, this fucking gigantic creep lord who has sexually assaulted people, who has creeped the fuck out of everyone in the space. And like
I want to talk about
people are not even talking about it as out of fear of social pressure in some instances, certainly.
Preparing myself, I guess.
It's got to be fucking traumatic for the individual, you know what I mean?
Obviously it doesn't involve me at all, besides me living here and being in close proximity with people involved, but it's been a lot. And like I said, I hope it doesn't come across like I'm trying to make it about myself or something. I'm just trying to speak what to me is the truth and share what's been going on in a way that only I can.
No, you're just a cynical person. When you say this is damage control at best, I feel like it's faking good PR for the house and she had a stalker and is the best person to do this. I mean, I'm serious. Like, I think you're just a very cynical person, and that's the reason why you think that. A lot of people in Twitch chat are also hyper-sheltered, or themselves are, like, victims of abuse, and have a litany of mental health complications. So that's why when you hear people fucking drop insane shit in the chat, like, don't take it super seriously.
It's just a lot.
You're naive, Hasan. My biggest problem in many of these circumstances is that I lead with empathy first. But that is precisely what I want you to do in every circumstance as well. Maybe it's one of the biggest weaknesses that I have, but I do have a naivete, I guess. But in this circumstance, I think I'm right. Human beings are incredibly complex and imperfect. Okay,
for a long time before now,
they don't realize things that are happening right in front of them.
I don't know.
They don't realize things that are happening behind their backs. They don't. They don't even realize when they themselves are being hurtful, harmful. That's something that I live by, and it's at the heart of my understanding of criminal justice too.
Run on Twitch until now. I've always somehow managed to stay out of things. I would say I still am, but this is just a lot. This time, the shit was just so bad. And I just felt like if I shared some of my experience, and there's more things I want to share.
This is not the worst shit that's come up since being on the site, by the way.
It would bring, I don't know.
No. Since 2009, no. Method Josh. Even I was there for that. Not even close. There's just more eyeballs on this than anything else.
I feel like for everyone, not just people in chats that are in close proximity to this shit, it's gonna affect all communities that we've built and grown and enjoyed together. And it's gonna be tough. Do I want to take a break and go back to Kansas? I mean, I'm gonna be honest, even if I didn't feel like I wanted to stay here, I can't. I can't go back. But like I said, I've always felt very safe and comfortable here. Honestly, I would say since I started getting stalked and dealing with harassment when I was 13 years old, I honestly would say this is probably the first place I ever lived that I truly felt safe. Which, then now knowing this shit, it's like, well, but I mean, it's hard, but I truly believe in the good of the people around me, and that all of the times that they supported me and were there for me were real. I genuinely believe that. Shit, I suck at this. I thought I was gonna go into this and
I think a lot of people probably personally also feel like they might have played a role in enabling it without realizing it. And as a victim herself, it's an incredibly complex situation. As someone who has also been victimized by a stalker, you know what I mean? That's like, that's doubly fucked up. Because the place you feel safe, you're actually not safe. And then also on top of that, like, what if you have allowed this to go on without realizing, and then other people around you were hurt in a similar fashion? It's like anyone who thinks this is always like, you know, this is just like cut and dry, and it's not like complex human emotions and so much internalized conflict is silly as fuck.
From an outward perspective, it seemed like they would literally castrate someone for you. That is true, and not just for me, but for other people around here. And I can vouch.
Wait, so let me get this straight. OTK knew Slick was a monster that made Emiru live with him? I don't think that's how that works.
obviously I wasn't
Also,
there.
Slick was not an OTK.
So I can't. I wasn't there, but with the people that I know, if they knew,
I think a lot of people just didn't know. I know you're gonna think like, oh man, this is like impossible. They all probably knew and they're in on it or whatever, but
this would have never happened. I know there's a lot of shit flying around, a lot of accusations that haven't been proven, and I obviously can't speak for any of that. It's not my place, but what I can say is, I mean, you guys know I've lived with Miz for 10 months, and I've hung out with him pretty much every day since I got here. And the Miz that I know would never know the full story and just let that happen. There's just no way that he knew. I'm sorry. That's just not the person that I know. He has always been there for me whenever something horrible happened to me without me even having to ask. And I know that's not just true for me, but for other people. Everyone who's been in my stream before now knows that. He was there for me when we barely fucking knew each other. When I was in a situation where there were people coming to my house. You guys all know this. I've said this a million times. And I had literally nowhere else to go that was safe, that I could also keep all my animals and not have to think about it. He was there for me, and he was there for me when we were in Busan and I was sexually assaulted during our live stream. He's been there for me whenever I've wanted to vent about something that has happened to me in the past. And the picture that's been painted is not the person that I know. And it's still in my mind nonstop to those girls that I saw in those messages with Slick and Adriana. As someone who has been through all of that and many things that I'll never talk about on stream, I just want to say I'm so sorry that you felt like no one was there for you. Because I know how fortunate I am. And not everyone has that. Just... And maybe I'm overstepping a little to say this, but I feel like no one else is saying it. a lot of the streamers involved in this, I don't believe that you care about what happens to girls on this platform at all. It makes me sick that it only comes out when it seems like it's the right time for you. No one expects you to platform and support every single victim. There's just too many. I'm not saying that, but a lot of the things I've seen just make me sick. It's disgusting. We have to evolve, or we're going to lose the community that we've built. There's a lot of things that I didn't bring up because I can't speak on them, but the shit that I have spoken about, this shit is just not okay. It's disgusting. I'm sorry, it's disgusting. I'm glad that obviously people were able to tell their stories. They deserve that 1,000%. Yeah. Honestly, that's most of what I wanted to say. I couldn't pretend this shit didn't happen when it happened in my own fucking house. All I wanted to do was share my own genuine experience and thoughts on the situation of my own accord, and that's it. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to say. I pretty much
Captions
covered
coming
all
up
the
before.
stuff that I've been writing. What I wanted was to hopefully just go back to doing my own thing in normal streams while I figure out what I'm gonna do and everything continues to unfold, but I mean, the way I reacted emotionally to it today, I think it's pretty clear that I'm not ready. But I don't think it'll be a long time. Probably just a couple days. I feel a lot better talking about this. I'm not taking a break now. But, I'm not gonna be back for a bit. Before I go, like I said at the beginning of the stream, the sub mode wasn't with the intention to silence people's opinions or not allow them to ask questions. I just knew that there'd be a lot of trolls today, people trying to derail, but, I mean, if you guys have stuff that you're unsure about, feel free to ask about it, but obviously I can't share stuff that involves other people. Will you be staying in the house? Currently, yes. I'm not leaving. I also saw people asking, if I knew about what happened, the original Slick allegations before I moved in, and yes, I did. But that was obviously, my understanding was obviously based around what everyone else thought at the time. And that makes me feel like shit. But yeah, I said what I wanted to say. For the most part, I don't want to loop and repeat myself and make this longer than it has to be. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be watching this VOD. And yeah, I obviously can't speak about what's going to happen with other people. But, yeah. I'm fine. So, I'll be gone for, I hope not long. I really honestly, the thing I want most right now is just to go back to some sense of normalcy. Obviously that won't be happening for a while. But I mean, I just want to be able to stream again and not have to constantly be thinking about it. Yeah, I guess that's all that I had to say. If you weren't here for the beginning and there's things you're wondering, I probably talked about it at the beginning, so feel free to go look at that. I have no interest in trying to farm or get more involved than I have to be. So that's all, and I'm gonna be leaving, and I will be offline at least for the weekend. And the next time I come back, hopefully, things will be a little more lighthearted. But, yeah, I just hope you all know that I just hope that if you've ever been through shit like this, ever felt hurt because of something similar like this, that a lot of people understand and are there for you.
That is for people who are tuning in or don't know what that was about. It was Emiru, who's a part of the organization that Mizkif is one of the co-founders of, OTK, who recently had moved into that house after escaping her own stalker, who is now institutionalized. Talking about her experience being friends with Slick and Mizkif. Slick is the person that groped, sexually assaulted Adriana in January 2020, which came out in January 2021 when one of Adriana's former friends, without her consent, came out and spoke about it, which Adriana came out and wrote a twit longer. Or was it July? Sorry, 2021 is when it came out. Feel like a piece of shit yet? Wait, what? November 2020, I thought it came out in July 2021. Sorry, I'm fucking up the dates. Emiru said she was going to continue living in the house. and that he was blindsided by this, and that didn't know that this was the case, and that Slick is gone and is only going to come back to get his stuff. Like one of the immediate courses of action that they have seemingly taken in this matter. I think the final component, like I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think the final component here in this matter that needs to be brought to light is the level of involvement Miz claims to have had in the matter. Because there's one element that we haven't really talked about, which is potentially the blackmail thing that Train was talking about. And if I'm going to be 100% speculative here, I think that there is no blackmail. And I think Train mistakenly, and this is a bit of an out for him, but I think Trainwreck's mistakenly wrote blackmail instead of blackball or blacklist. I literally personally think that. I think he, in a moment of weakness where he thought he was getting a good gotcha, wrote something super, super severe. Because blackmail implies that there is additional information that you can use to stop someone. Like there would need to be like extraneous circumstances. He also wrote girls instead of girl, unless there is additional information there. And if there is, I would like to. That is way too fucking charitable. Come the hell on. This is, like I said, an incredibly serious accusation, criminal accusation, which is precisely why I'm being as neutral on the matter as possible, because I don't know the details. I think he meant blacklisting or blackballing someone, as in like stopping them from attending events, which corresponds to what Adriana was saying. But there are a couple components that need to be brought to light here. There was apparently a phone call that took place. That's one thing that needs to be brought to light, and further clarification needs to happen on what happened in that call. What was it about? What did it pertain? There was a Discord call, which XQC, I believe, has said he was going to leak. There needs to be additional information on what blackmail meant, what Train meant by blackmail, what Train meant by multiple girls, and then lastly, what level of involvement and what level of knowledge Mizkif had or claims he had in this circumstance. Like, did he knowingly, full blown, was like straight up, let's go, Maya, go out there, fucking stop this person from writing. This is not like an assumption that I'm making. Is coercion different from blackmail? Yes, of course. Coercion is when you can persuade or coerce someone to stop with social pressure even. Blackmail, on the other hand, is something that you have, like you need to have leverage for blackmail to exist. What kind of leverage is there? Coercion is more broader than blackmail itself. Blackmail is a form of coercion. Blackmail is a very specific type of coercion. Coercion, on the other hand, is manipulation and manipulative persuasion. Coercion is like stop or you can't hang out. Blackmail is like you did a crime and I'm going to tell people unless you no longer come out with this information, something like that. There was an alt stream that Mizkif was doing, playing World of Warcraft, where he severely downplayed sexual assault on a tier-by-tier basis, where he said it's not sexual assault like rape-style sexual assault. It wasn't, or I think he even considered it to be sexual harassment and not sexual assault, if I'm not mistaken. That is something that absolutely needs to be addressed as well. That in and of itself is downplaying what had actually taken place. Now, here's the thing, the minor sexual harassment. Here's the thing. At the time when the twit longer came out, especially people like myself and others who were reacting to it, and there's video of it. Like, you can go fucking find it. I reacted to it. I talked about it. I personally said, if I'm not mistaken, I said something along the lines of what this instance with Slick and Adriana, okay? In this instance, this could have gone completely in a different way. Because at the time I thought because of her clarification that this was not sexual assault, that singular line, that clarifying line led so many people to believe that it was not sexual assault. Could have, even with that information, I still said, judging by the actions of Slick at this time, it seems to me like this is really fucking creepy. But as a consequence of the victim and her feelings on the matter, Slick could have gotten into much, much deeper trouble. And his actions were, regardless of what the victim says, his actions could have very easily been considered sexual assault. Well, it absolutely falls in line with sexual assault. And even when I had no additional information and I was working off of exactly what she had said, it still was that, but she did not feel that way. So out of respect for what I thought was the victim's opinion in that moment, something I've apologized for as well, we all thought that that wasn't the case. There are multiple components to this, but ultimately what matters the most, in my opinion, what matters the most here is the victim's own personal feelings. A couple things are just undeniably true, regardless of what Mizkif knew or what he did, regardless of what Maya knew or what she did. CrazySlick, undeniably and undoubtedly, according to what the witnesses are now saying, and especially the victim herself is saying, groped and inappropriately touched Adriana. Okay? Definitely. Absolutely.